Such a great day here at the Ford Foundation.
Thank you so much.
There is so much energy in this room. I need to bottle you all up and take you with me for the rest of the day because I'm going to be pretty beat by the end of this day. Good morning, I'm Darren Walker, and I have the great honor of serving as president of the Ford Foundation and welcoming you today. I want to first thank my amazing colleagues, Barbara Raab, Fiona Guthrie. Where are you, Barbara and Fiona and your teams? You all have done a fantastic job of organizing this conference. And to the incomparable Elisa Munoz. Where is Elisa? Elisa, stand up. Come on, Elisa. Give it up for Elisa. You are a remarkable, amazing leader, and I say that with all sincerity. We have over 4,000 grants at this place, and it allows me to see all sorts of remarkable leaders on every continent, and you are rare. So congratulations to you for all you do. So, as you all know, for more than a quarter of a century, the International Women's Media Foundation has helped to bolster the role of women in media in the United States and around the world. And of course, so much has changed during those 25 years. Today, technology has lowered the barriers to entry. Women everywhere, and men too, have an on-ramp to an information superhighway. New people have put new ideas and new perspectives in the driver's seat. And they are delivering content to our desktops and mobile devices faster at a more accelerated pace than ever. And yet, for all that has changed, some things seem to remain. That for all the barriers the internet has toppled, or at least one thing we know hasn't changed. Across this country and around the world, women do not have an equal seat at the table, equal space in media, or an equal voice in the boardroom, especially in the technology industry. As I've often said, inequality in all its forms is an existential threat to a democratic society. This includes gender inequality, because until women have an equal voice, we will not have a free press. So today is not only about cracking the code, it's about recoding our status quo. Not only about breaking the glass ceiling, but about building a bigger space for women on those glass screens where we consume digital journalism. I am an ardent believer in the profound power of great journalism and our digital society to help fight injustice in the world. Because each provides our complex issues and our most vulnerable individuals with a platform to explore, advocate, inspire, and inform. This summit, what you are doing here at the Ford Foundation, offers an opportunity and an obligation to those people who need their visions lifted up. We need to ensure a world where, in the face of growing inequality and oppression, young women can express themselves fully and freely on the internet, and that their voices may ring loud and clear, and be heard and be heeded by many. For our part at the Ford Foundation, my colleagues and I are proud to support you, to support the International Women's Media Foundation. And looking into your faces, I am optimistic about the future of digital news. I am radically optimistic about it. I know that together we can celebrate and learn from your successes. We can discuss and discover solutions to the challenges you have faced, and you have yet to face, and ultimately amplify and empower women's voices throughout the world and throughout the web. I want to thank you for being here today, and thank you for all you do to build a more just and fair society. Thank you, and have a great day.
Thank you so much, Darren. And not only will the energy in the room break the glass ceiling, but I have a feeling we might do a little damage to the glass windows in this place. Thank you so much. Before we move to this morning's program, I just actually wanted to follow up on one item from last night because it generated a lot of interest. Elisa Munoz demonstrated, for those of you who were here, the new app that she and the IWMF are developing for journalist security in dangerous places, and it's called Reporta. And if people are, Elisa wanted me to just say that if people are interested in being part of the beta testing for that app that's going to start sometime this spring, please be sure that you get in touch with her. And for everybody else in the room, we have all of your contact info, so rest assured that we will just keep you updated on the progress of that app as it gets further developed. So that's great. Now, to this morning, we have not one, but two fabulous keynote speakers on hand with us today to offer their unique insights on both the status of women in digital news and also on some key trends that we should know about. So first on deck is Mariana Santos, who's made a real mark working to create a core of tech-savvy women in newsrooms across Latin America. Mariana developed Chicas Poderosas, which means powerful chicks. Yeah. And it's a program that offers both data visualization, training for women journalists, and also hackathons to develop news apps. She's now the director of interactive and animation at Fusion, which some of you may know is a joint effort of Disney, ABC, and Univision. And previously, she was one of the creators of The Guardian's first interactive team. And Mariana joins us now to paint a picture of women's challenges and opportunities in digital news in Latin America and around the world. So please join me in welcoming Mariana Santos.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for coming here at this early moment of the day. First of all, let me give you a background. My name is Mariana Santos. I am Portuguese, so not from Latin America, but I consider myself Latin, and I share the same issues that women in Latin America face today. I never worked in Portugal, so to give you a little bit of a background, I studied graphic design, communication design, and then I went abroad to study an Erasmus program, and then I never came back home. I love the discovering of new cultures, new philosophies, new ways of doing and thinking and living their life. So for the unhappiness of my parents, I never came back to Portugal. So then I moved to Berlin, where I had my first digital work as an animator in Universal Music, doing animation for advertisements. And as a designer, I thought, I'm going to have to do advertisement all my life. So the opportunities of journalism have not been crossing my path yet. Then I felt the need of getting more digital media savvy. So I went into a master in Stockholm where I did 2 years of program of very intense, wearing all hats of digital production, from client handling, learning the basics of codes, applying design, which was the part that I could bring to the table in greater scale. But I really loved that storytelling with clients with real stories. And then this is like, as we are all girls, I can share like some personal stories here. I feel very comfortable. I had a boyfriend of 6 years with whom I thought I was going to marry in Portugal. He broke up with me, so that was another reason for me not to go back to Portugal. So that summer, I went to London and I invested my savings to go and get interviewed in all digital companies with the tech directors, because as a designer, I wanted to work with technology, because technology brings the design to the next level. And I wanted to have that power. And I knew that in order to become a developer myself, I would have to kind of give up a little bit on design focus. But if I team up with someone that is really like tech driven, I could be like as good designer as I could working with the development. And serendipity has crossed my life right there. I'm just gonna go, this is the agenda. But then I went to the Guardian where I had an interview because someone, the tech director at that time, was so kind to give me some time to talk to me. And I was, we have like in Portugal, we have a little bit of inferiority complex. In Europe, we are like the South. We feel like we never go anywhere, you know. But I didn't want to look at that trend, you know. So I was given this chance. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna grab it with both hands. And then I was talking to the boss, and he was like talking, and I was like I'm like a child. I don't know anything about technology. By the time we were talking about is Flash gonna die, like the trends of future in technology. And he was like talking, and he was so generous with me. He gave me like 2.5 hours of talking, and I was like this, like a sponge. And he was like, Mariana, if you are so excited, why don't you come and work here? And I was like, what? You kidding me? I never thought I would have that opportunity. So I said, yes, I can start tomorrow. And he's like, okay, come, let's give a couple of interviews to assess if you have qualities. And I said, okay. So I had a bunch of interviews with HR, then with what would be my future boss. Then he interviewed me, and actually I had animation skills, which was awesome because instead of building an entire prototype of a project of data visualization, I could just do an animation and show the usability and interactivity to sell it to editors to see if they like the project the way we wanted to tell that story. And that was awesome. So I arrived in August 2010 to The Guardian, like a countryside girl, imagine going to London, like, whoa. And the first project, my boss was like, okay, so the first project we're going to do, it's going to take the entire month. You cannot talk about this to anyone. Don't even call your mom saying, don't talk to anyone. This is very secret. And I was like, oh, these people of the news, they are so hysterical, you know, like. So he said, the name of the project is WikiLeaks, so you have to, like, what is that WikiLeaks? You know, I was like, Mom, I'm doing this thing that WikiLeaks. My mom like, shut up! So that was like my experience. I was like, okay. And then I understood it was a special project. So like this was the beginning of my career, and this was my team. So as you can see, all boys and myself, I was so lucky to get into The Guardian. My boss, which is the guy in the middle, with glasses, he is the lead developer, so he needed a designer to be with him full-time, because going to the graphics department and asking graphics to do a data viz would take him lots of time, and that was not the priority of graphics team. So he had this vision of building up a team that he would have his own designers, his own developers, and we would work with different desks doing data visualization or visual storytelling. So I love my team so much. And you know, they are all English, and two guys from Australia. My boss is from Cambridge, and you can imagine a countryside girl from the south of Portugal. I was like, woo! Like, it was a bit disruptive, but at the end of the day, we really made a good team. So, but I was there for 3 years, and we hired more and more developers, always boys. And it was very hard. It was like a focus of my boss to hire women just so we would have a more diverse team. But the kind of project we were doing, either the women that are very heavy coders would not be interested on, or they would lack the skills to be at the level of the team developers. So this is the state of The Guardian. Like when I was there, and actually Annabelle is here, so she's represented here. In 180 developers, 3 were women. So it was myself, which was an interactive designer, Annabelle, which is a developer, and the project manager. And then later, more project managers came, but no like developers. Annabelle was like one of the few. So this is like very critical, I think. So to give you a little bit of a perspective of the countries, technology workforce, the percentage of female is very low, as you will know, and has been told before. And in Britain, in Africa, the majority of the population is female, the workforce is around 50%, and only 50%, and only 15% work in technology. Then, despite the fact that we are very few among technology, when there are tech startups having women leading, there's 35% of return, and then when they are backed in a venture, 12% of the companies are more successful, but we just, as was said before, we just represent 3% of startups led by women. And right now, I didn't say that. So right now, I am a JSK Knight Fellow. So after at The Guardian, I got a fellowship with the International Center for Journalists, where I went to Latin America. and when I had the chance to work with newsrooms that had the problem of gender, but in a very, very, very higher scale. But I was given the gringo effect, which is if you come from, and I'm not even gringo, if you come from abroad, it's like you bring some fresh ideas. And the managerial level of like people that are maybe stubborn or they have the way they don't want to change, because you come from abroad, they would welcome your point of view, you know? So I went there, and the situation in US is like women make 91 cents of a dollar doing the same exact thing as men does, which at the end of the year becomes a very high number. But in Latin America, the situation is even worse. So the percentage of women getting into technology studies is around 23% back in 2011. But the disparity of revenue, it's huge, and people, 35% only believe that women are treated with dignity. Can you imagine this? So the remaining percentage think they do not get well treated. They are expected to be, and correct me if I'm wrong, I have lots of Latina women here. Women are expected to be three things in life: a daughter, a wife, and a mother. So that's about it, like speaking very broadly. And I don't want to make like, this is not the rule, but this is the generality. So despite the fact that even Latin American executives believe that gender-balanced leadership roles would make the companies more profitable. But then 78% believe that this is not happening, and for different reasons. So executives believe, executive male believe that the reasons are different. And this is all because of the stereotypes, which I'm really trying to break there. It's a very hard battle, but I think we can get there, and I'll show you how. So women have different opinion why they cannot go up in the ladder, and why can they have a voice. So to give you a very specific case, I went to many different newsrooms there in Latin America, and I was faced with, okay, the leadership where they treat me super well, like, oh, you are a foreigner, we want to hear from you, and I felt very humbled, like, first of all, like, I was given so much responsibility with my ideas, like, you really have, you have the cure for this, so let's give us your thoughts. And I was like, this is very much responsibility. But I tried to take it lightly. So when I went to the teams, and people were like super shy, working on their silos, working alone most of the times, I tried to say, okay, if I have the chance to do whatever I feel, let me trust my instinct, and let's work together. So women, you're going to lead the project, like women and men, but like you're going to take the lead. And for instance, a journalist who wanted to do interactive stuff, she never had the know-how, and she never had the opportunity to go to the designers and developers to co-work with them. So because they are seen as less ambitious, but actually they are afraid to be ambitious because they are not given the room for that. So I tried to break that. Like, this was like my assumption. If we break that, maybe we're gonna have room. So yeah, I'm just gonna go for it here to give a case scenario. It's a little bit, sorry. So the problem right now, sorry, I'm a bit nervous. You can tell, right? Okay, so media influence is a very powerful economic and social force right now. And in Latin America, this is real true, in a very male-dominated industry. So, and right now, the management of newsrooms are willing to address gender issues, like, okay, we want to have diverse managerial roles. But this is like in their agendas. But actually, when our industry gets into crisis, this is the first thing put to the side. Okay, we have other issues to take care of. And let's be honest, our industry right now is pretty much many times in crisis. So this topic is really for second thoughts. So we cannot change this if we don't really focus on addressing these issues. And this is what I'm trying to do. Coming from an infographic background and interactive storytelling, I was given the chance by my mentor to fail a lot. I failed a lot at The Guardian. And in the beginning, I was just listening to him, doing everything he was telling me. Then, with the years passing, I started becoming a bit more confident and giving my opinion. And we would have lots of discussions. but it was very healthy discussions, and he allowed us to have these discussions. And the power, it was like the pie of power was shared, and I felt really comfortable eating that pie with responsibility, you know. But I think we need to share that pie a little bit more. So with the upcoming trends of online and digital journalism, technology has become an even stronger need in news. So this is the process that I think we use today to do journalism online, which is where I'm coming from. So we have data and stories and photography and video and journalists collecting data. Then we have designers coming up with forms of storytelling that will be user-centered and like trying to engage users with so much opportunity to get your news. You really want to be like the best place to go, the most beautiful, the most engaging. Then we have infographics, which is nowadays very used, and this is where as well my area of focus, to have data and data points and stuff that we can measure and you know, weather, temperature, for instance. We can show all the trends across the years or across a given time to see where we're going, not predicting the future, but seeing a trend and where we are going forward. Then social media, which is more and more an important thing. We see mediums as Portrait, BuzzFeed doing so well, and yesterday they showed again the cats and the babies. Like, social media is really important to know, you know, and to dominate, because at the end of the day you can have an amazing story, but if you don't know how to tell them in social media, you kind of lose the race. And then mobile, more and more. So 3 years ago at The Guardian, when I left, around 80% of our audience was consuming us on mobile platforms. Now that I'm at Fusion, we are mobile first as well, following that trend, because we need to be platform agnostic. So all of these little points, little that are not very little, but they are very big groups on themselves, are like the trend now to do journalism online. And women, most of the times, are very hard to be found in these groups of the tech part. So the idea here, and this is the idea I'm suggesting to you that I've been prototyping last year, is to bring mentors. So, okay, as a Portuguese, one thing that I love is talking, and talking to people. And thank God, and because my boss is so visionary, he introduced me to so many amazing people, and I think that's why I'm here today. Because I met a big group of people that work in our industry from all these big newsrooms. And, you know, I always ask. I don't lose anything by asking. The worst case scenario, I'm going to get a no. So I had this idea of, okay, I know the kick-assers of the digital industry, you know, from New York Times, The Guardian, NPR, like people that I really admire and that I'm kind of fan. So I started approaching them saying, look, what if, so I've been in these countries in Latin America working with journalists, what if I bring you to Latin America and you teach us how you do that, like how you do Snowfall, for instance, or how you do the NPR pieces on the T-shirt project, I don't know if you saw, anyway, awesome projects. And they're like, sure, like, it's for a good cause. Like, and I say, I don't have money. I'm trying to raise money to pay your flight and your hotel. But would you come and have 3 days with us, like hackathon, like we are right now? But instead of having me here, having Aaron Pilhofer telling how he did the Snowfall, for instance, and we could all try kind of a Snowfall inspiration piece with our own stories, bringing our own data. Then I would bring people from Open Knowledge Foundation to tell you how to scrape the data online that you want to search, that maybe you know it's there, but you don't know how to get it. And it's just this little space between you and the information is how to use, for instance, OpenRefine, which is a software that scrapes data from the internet. All of these things that maybe you guys know, but in Latin America, this is inaccessible. So doing this, connecting the mentors with the people that really, they are eager to learn, but they don't have access. They don't have money to come to the US for conferences like this, you know? So I try to bring the conference to them in a very low budget style. But these people who are really winning awards, they are very generous. And this is the exchange rate. They give their generosity, they share their knowledge, like Annabelle as well was a teacher at Chicas Poderosas, in exchange to have women, like around 100 women, like, teach me, you know, at the end of the day you feel so good, and these women go back to their newsrooms, they feel more confident, more empowered. So it's not just about only the technology tools and the process, it's about the confidence. If I have a developer and I know how to work with him, if I understand what JavaScript is, I can think about an idea and ask and start brainstorming how can we do this story. So that's why I created these Chicas Poderosas. The name was invented by a co-fellow at the ICFJ, Miguel Paz, when I went to Chile and I went to work in a La Tercera newspaper, and we were brainstorming. We should have a powerful name to bring women and for them to feel confident. What happens here is like, this is not exactly a copy of Hacks and Hackers, but it's very similar. I would say it's like the little sister of Hacks and Hackers. Hacks and Hackers is a group which I think is amazing, and it's spread across the main cities in the world, which brings developers and journalists together to brainstorm how to do apps like the ones you showed us yesterday, how to solve problems with technology and journalism. So it's kind of the same feeling, but it's addressing women. So they feel like, okay, I don't know anything. Most of the times this can happen. I don't know anything about technology. I'm not going to Hacks and Hackers and, what can I contribute with? This is like the feeling. To do a Chicas Poderosas is like, come, let's do a hackathon. Nobody needs to be expert on anything. We're going to try to share skills and learn with each other. So last year, with ICFJ, I spent around 14 months going from country to country. So I would team up with both newspapers and universities of journalism that will help, like, for instance, giving the venue. Then I would get fundraising to get the money for the flights, etc. So far, it has been the hardest part is to get the money. But at the end of the day, there are lots of people who want to support this. And for a newspaper in Latin America to be able to have these leaders coming in, it's like pretty awesome. So then they end up like empowering it and eventually giving lectures to more students to come. So it's pretty open. By the way, it's directed to women, but I don't say boys cannot come, because if I'm aiming for a diversity, I cannot say women only party, And usually what we have is like 70-80% women and 20-30% boys that want to work with women, which is amazing. Well, I feel that it's very good. So this is a real story. When I went to La Tercera, I was given the chance to talk to all the managers and to the editorials, and we wanted to do the 40 years of coup d'etat in Chile. Check this out, this story is very funny. So there was a very, very famous journalist, and he was writing a book about it. So we went there to meet him, me and this girl, Mariana, she was the lead journalist. And we talked to him, and he said, okay, next week I'm going to send you a brief description. Next week we came, and he was like, you know what, I don't have anything, and you know what, I haven't even started my research, and I'm not going to do it. And I had 1 month to do the project with them, and we already said to everybody, we're going to do this special. And everybody was expecting this from La Tercera. So, this woman said, okay, you know what, we don't need him. For 2 days, he has written many books before. So, and she had some 12 interns. She got together with the interns, and while I was there, for 2 days, she did not sleep to get me the first 2 hours of the day. We wanted today to do the 21 days before the coup, and because of that constraint, we did the 24 hours, which was like the best we could do. So she didn't sleep. You should have seen her, but she was like so empowered in adrenaline. She wrote like the first part of the script, then we presented here, and then they allow me to work with all of them. So they are, she's a designer, infographic, and animator. All of them never have worked together before. So this was like, this is trying, work, like do a storyboard on the table, think how we're going to do this, and then they created this. This project took them, so I was with them for the first month, and then I left, and they created this for the next 3 months. And we managed to ask the management to let them focus on this project, because otherwise they would have every daily routines and they wouldn't have time to focus on this. And then we were very happy. This was towards the end. Towards the end they changed direction, the directors, and the directors had another point of view and said, no, you know what, they're not going to publish this. I was like, what? So I flew there. I called everybody at The Guardian saying, this is a project, it's done. Can you guys publish? The Guardian was so amazing. They said, yes, we will publish, and you should have told us before, because we could have incorporated in the site. So if The Guardian was publishing, and then Miguel asked someone in Argentina to publish us, El Clarín, so we kind of trapped the management here. And then they end up winning the Inter-American Press Association Awards for the best pitch, which was awesome. This was their work. I did not touch the project. This was their skills, their work put together, just an opportunity to work together, If they were given these opportunities more times, I think they would win many, many awards. Whoa.
Just my stomach.
Okay. Okay, so to conclude, Chicas Poderosas is not only about showing the tools, how to scrape information from the internet, how to do JavaScript. It's about leadership, about the spirit of innovation, about the team spirit, working together with others. We don't need to know everything. And I'm really strict with this. I struggled with this issue. Shall I be a developer, a designer, and a journalist? You know, I struggled. I wanted to be everything, but then I didn't have time to go and do my hobbies. So I said, no, I'm going to be as good as I can designer and work with the best developers I can. So this kind of team spirit is very, very important. And then mentoring. Because my boss mentored me and taught me and allowed me to fail, what I do with these people coming from all the newsrooms that I showed, New York Times, Guardian, NPR, I want them to be mentors of these chicas, you know? The mentorship is very important. And then these chicas will go to their newsrooms and be mentors of other people. And then the love will be spread. And the female network is very strong, as you can see here today. We really help each other. So to give you the long story short, in 1 year I did train around 1,000 women doing these 11 events. The goal here now, it's as I'm in Stanford and my project as a JSK is to bring women from all these Latin American countries where they are calling saying, we need another event here. I'm like, I cannot leave school now, but why don't you guys come here? I bring the leaders, again, to Stanford and taking advantage of Stanford and sharing the Stanford experience, which is like, if you guys can apply, it's amazing. Like, there's lots of fellows and former fellows. It's like, it's changing my life right now, and I'm talking in the middle of the process. And bring them so they can do their own events. And in 2017, we can have reached more than 10,000 women. So this is the goal, to make it global and not depending on me, because right now it was me going there. And if I'm stuck in a place, the project cannot grow. And I'm learning how to open up, let the leadership roles take other shapes. So this is an invitation for everybody. If you want to talk more about this, I'm trying to organize an event. Well, I'm organizing. I don't have the money yet, but I'm organizing and I'm doing everything like I would have the money already. But so it's going to be April 1, 2, and 3, where we're going to have these mentors coming together for 3 days of training. And then we're going to, and these are the leaders per country that want to say, I want to organize an event in my country. So they would come to Stanford, we would train them, and they would go back to their countries and organize. I'm trying to get $100,000 to bring 60 women, 15 leaders, and like flights. This is all logistics, you know. Thank you so much for your time, and I'm sorry I was a bit nervous.